The sky above Arka Station was always dark now. The stars were hidden behind thick clouds of smoke and ash from the burned forests. What was once a green and growing world was now silent, gray, and nearly dead. Talia stood on the roof of the old cum tower, wrapped in a thin jacket that did little to fight the cold. She was only 9, but her eyes looked older. She stared at the sky every night, hoping to see something move, something human. But there was nothing, just darkness. Inside the tower, Commander Ryel sat in front of the old cum console. It sparked and hissed with age. Dust covered the controls, and half the lights didn't work anymore. But it was still alive, barely. He placed his hand on the mic and took a breath. His voice was steady, even though his heart felt heavy. "This is Commander Elias Ryel of Arka Station, Human Colony 379. If anyone can hear me, we are still alive." The static returned. The screen blinked twice, then froze. Outside, the wind howled through the ruins. Ryel leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face with tired hands. He had sent this message hundreds of times over the years. No one had ever answered. Maybe no one ever would. He stood and walked to the window. From here, he could see the outer wall of the colony. It was broken in 3 places, patched together with scrap metal and old solar panels. The defense turrets hadn't fired in months. They had no power left. He watched as a group of scavengers returned through the main gate. They moved quickly, heads low, carrying crates of old tech and food scraps. One of them, a boy named Jace, gave Ryel a short nod. That was all. People didn't talk much anymore. Words were heavy, like everything else. That night, Ryel met with the other council. Members in the old school building, now their command center. "We lost Sector 5, said Mara, the head engineer. "Fire took most of it. We can't rebuild it. Not without real supplies." "And the patrols?" Ryel asked. "Getting closer," said Kareem, the scout. 2 alien ships passed over. The ridge this morning, they didn't fire, but they saw us. I'm sure of it. So the room fell silent. The alien patrols were from the Khlorr Dominion, the species that had taken most of the outer colonies. Didn't always attack. Sometimes they just watched. But when they did strike, it was fast and final. Ryel looked around the table. These people were tired, hungry. Most had lost family. Some had given up long ago, but kept going out of habit. "We send the message one more time," Ryel said. "Then we start evacuation prep." "Evacuate to where?" Mara asked, shaking. Her head, Ryel didn't answer. He didn't know. The next morning, Talia climbed the tower again. It was her daily ritual. Her mother used to say, "If you can see the sky, then someone can see you too." Her mother had died 3 years ago. She sat beside the old dish, legs crossed, and stared upward. Her small fingers played with a piece of old wiring like it was a toy. Then something blinked in the sky. She squinted. At first she thought it was just her eyes playing tricks. But then it blinked again 3 short flashes. She jumped to her feet. "Commander," she shouted, running down the ladder as fast. As she could, Ryel met her at the bottom. "What is it?" "There's a light in the sky. It blinked," she said, out of breath, 3 times. Ryel didn't move. He just stared at her. He didn't want to believe it, couldn't still. He rushed back to the cum console. Static as always. Then click. The screen flickered, not like before. This time it glowed deep blue. Then a message appeared. In pale green letters, "Signal received. Earth comms, relay active. Response initiated." Ryel's hands froze over the controls. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Kareem entered, holding a small radio. "Commander Dot, we've got chatter. Something's out there." "Where?" "Orbit. High altitude." Too high for their ships, they all ran outside. Few others followed. Even the kids stopped what they were doing. Everyone looked up, and there it was, a faint line in the sky. Like a crack of light on black glass. It wasn't natural. Wasn't whether it was a ship, a human ship, but it was too far to know what kind. It didn't land, didn't speak, just hovered, then it disappeared. Later that night, Ryel sat alone in the cum tower. The message on the screen was still glowing. A line of code repeated over and over. Response confirmed. Hold position. Defense lock enabled. Defense lock. What did that mean? He didn't sleep. That night? The next day, strange sounds echoed from beyond the valley. Deep hums, tremors in the ground. Some feared the aliens had returned. Others hoped it was Earth. At dawn, a scout team spotted new craters forming in the southern cliffs perfectly. Round, glowing with blue heat, something was coming through. That afternoon, one of the old orbital telescopes powered on by itself. It hadn't worked in 10 years. It locked onto a shape above the atmosphere. The image came through blurry, but large, very large, a fleet. Dozens of massive ships, Earth models, unknown designs. Some were the size of cities. Others looked like weapons with engines. Ryel stood in front of the image and whispered, "They're really coming." Talia tugged on his coat. "Are they here to save us?" Ryel didn't answer. Not yet, but above Arka Station, in the deep black, something had awakened. And this time it was human. The silence returned. Even after the strange message appeared on the come screen. Even after the blue light in the sky, there was no new sound. No voice from Earth. No ships landing. No rescue. Just the same cold wind across the ruined walls of Arka Station. People began to doubt again. Commander Ryel stood at the edge of the outer perimeter, looking at the scorched hills beyond the fence. The land was blackened by war. Old bones lay buried under the ash. Somewhere out there, the Khlorr still moved, watching. Waiting, Kareem approached quietly. "The people are nervous. They don't believe it was Earth." "I saw the signal," Ryel said. "I saw the fleet. Something's changed." Kareem lowered his voice. "What if it's a trick? A trap?" Ryel didn't answer. He couldn't deny the thought. The Khlorr had played with human signals before, mocked them, used fake transmissions to draw survivors into ambushes. Still, that ship in orbit didn't move like theirs. It was too big, too perfect. To clean later that day, Mara and a group of engineers gathered in the command room. "We got the solar grid partially back up," she said. "Just for the tower and half the comms array." "Good!" "Prioritize the signal relays," Ryel replied.
Oh.
"We need eyes in every direction." Talia sat near the window, drawing pictures in the dust. She didn't understand all the talk, but she kept hearing one word repeated over and over: Earth. "Why don't they talk to us?" she asked suddenly. The room went quiet. Ryel turned. To her, trying to smile. "Maybe they're still waking up." "But they saw us," she said. "Right?" "Yes, they saw us." That night it rained for the first time in months. Cold, acid-soaked water poured from the clouds. The colony's filters hadn't worked in years, so the people stayed inside, wrapped in whatever rags they had left. Some watched the skies from broken windows. Others tried not to hope too much, but the hope was there. Silent, growing. Ryel sat in the tower again, watching the screen. Still no new message. The green text from before just blinked. Response confirmed. Hold position. He tapped the mic once more. "This is Arka Station. If you can hear us, please respond." "The Khlorr are moving again." "We don't have time," the static replied. And nothing. 2 days passed. In that time, strange things began to happen. The outer sensors, which hadn't worked in over a year, suddenly powered on. The east side turret, which was completely offline, turned and locked onto the forest. Mara confirmed no one had repaired it. It had powered up on its own. That night, Kareem and 2 scouts patrolled the ridge. They found something impossible. A Khlorr Skimmeran alien scout ship was burned into the ground. No signs of human weapons, no sign of a fight, but it just dropped from the sky, its hull torn open like paper. Whatever hit, it came from above. Ryel examined the wreck the next morning. The wounds on the metal were clean, too precise for standard Earth missiles. Too clean even for energy weapons. He looked. Up at the clouds, was the fleet still watching? Back inside the tower, a new alert blinked. Incoming transmission classified encryption. Ryel's heart jumped. He grabbed the controls. The screen cracked slightly, but the message came through. Only audio. A voice, cold and smooth. Not human, not alien. Something else. This is Earth Defense AI Command Node 07. Do not respond, do not broadcast. Operation Ghostfire is now active. Remain in low power. We are here. Then silence again. Ryel sat frozen for a long time. Earth had sent its fleet, but it wasn't the Earth he remembered. No humans. No greetings. It's just an AI. A war AI. Kareem entered the tower minutes later. Breathless, sir. The Khlorr are retreating. What? They're pulling ships from this sector. Fast. They've left 2 garrisons behind, but the rest. They're gone. Ryel turned back to the console. They saw the fleet. They're afraid, Kareem said, or preparing something worse. Later that day, panic spread through the colony again. A fire broke out near the food storage units. The people rushed to contain it, forming lines with buckets and old hoses. The fire didn't spread far, but supplies were lost. Tempers rose. People shouted, accused each other. The fear was returning. Ryel gathered them all in the central square. He stood on the steps of the old courthouse, his voice loud and clear over the wind. I know you're afraid. So am I. We've lived too long without hope, and now that it's here, we don't know what to do with it. He pointed to the sky. I don't know what kind of fleet is up there. I don't know if they're coming today, tomorrow, or never. But I do know this, we are not alone anymore. He paused. We will not run. We will not give up. Not now. Natalia stood in the crowd, holding her little brother's hand. She smiled. For the first time in months, the people slowly began to calm. That night, stars returned. The ash clouds parted for a few hours, and the sky became clear. And there they were, teeny. Bright lights moving in formation, hundreds of them. Then a new sound echoed across the villa, low hum, like a song sung by metal. It vibrated through the ground, steady and calm. No one knew what it was, but they all felt it. Something ancient and powerful was awake. Above them, Ryel returned to the tower. The screen blinked again. Phase 2 beginning. Silent strike deployed. Remain covered. He sat down and stared at the message. Earth wasn't coming in peace. It was coming for war. But for the first time in years, that didn't scare him. It gave him hope. 3 days passed. The fleet in orbit stayed silent, hidden behind a thick cloud layer, but the people of Arka Station felt it, something watching, something waiting. Commander Ryel stood at the eastern wall with Kareem, both looking through old binoculars at the horizon. There, Kareem whispered, see that shape moving along the ridge? Ryel narrowed his eyes. A black, thin silhouette moved with slow purpose. Not a beast, not a machine, a Khlorr. They're back, Ryel muttered. Why now? Kareem lowered the binoculars. Maybe they know Earth is watching. Ryel said nothing. But in his gut he felt the shift. The Khlorr weren't running. They were regrouping. And they weren't alone. That night, just before dusk, alarms blared from the west side of the colony. People rushed out of buildings, grabbing old rifles, steel bars, anything they could use. A massive object hung above the ruins outside the wall. It was shaped like a blade and shimmered with dark silver. It moved without noise, hovering over the broken remains of an old research tower. Children screamed. Mothers pulled them back. Is it Earth? One man yelled. No, Ryel said. Firmly? That's not ours. A deep voice echoed from the ship, not from speakers, but from inside their minds. Cold, arrogant. You were left to die. We offer you survival. Bow and live. Resist and vanish. No name. No signal. Just a message. Then 5 smaller ships dropped from the sky, circling the colony like vultures. The Khlorr had brought a new faction with them. Stronger. Smarter. They didn't fire. They just watched. Ryel stood in the main square that evening, addressing the colony. Torches burned around him. The people were afraid, and he knew fear well. That ship is not Earth. That voice is not human. They came to control us, to make us kneel. He looked at every face. We will not kneel. The crowd murmured in agreement, low but growing. The firelight danced on their worn, tired faces. Something was changing. They offer survival. We choose freedom. The next morning, the strange ship returned closer now, hovering just above. The trees from its base, transport pod dropped into the old landing zone. It opened. A figure stepped out. Tall, skin pale blue, eyes black. Armor like liquid metal. Ryel and Mara met the figure halfway, with guards surrounding them. The figure didn't blink, didn't breathe. You are the leader? It asked, its voice dry and perfect. I speak for Arka Station, Ryel replied. And we do not recognize your authority. The alien tilted its head. Your world is abandoned. No ships, no army. Earth left you behind. We're not alone anymore, Ryel said. The alien smiled. The fleet in your sky?
It waits.
It watches. But it does not come. They will not save you. Ryel held the alien's gaze. We'll take our chances. The alien gave a single nod. So be it. It returned to its ship. No fight, no threats, just silence. Later, in the command room, Mara paced. This isn't right. They didn't scan the colony, didn't try to take control. They're too confident. They think we're weak, Ryel said. They think Earth is afraid to act. Talia stood in the doorway, holding her brother's hand again. There. Not afraid, she said softly. They're waiting for something. Kareem entered suddenly. Commander, you need to see this. He rushed to the tower. On the main screen, a new video feed had appeared, static at first, then a slow pan across deep space. A ship moved. Into view, one of Earth's. But not like anything Ryel had seen before. It was long, silent, and almost invisible. Its surface rippled like water, changing shape slightly as it moved. There were no windows, no markings. Only one word came through the feed. VIGIL. Then it vanished. Mara leaned forward. Is that a message? A warning? I think it's a name, Ryel whispered. That night, the skies cracked. A single beam of blue light shot down from orbit, striking the ridge behind the Khlorr ship. The mountain exploded, stone, fire, and wind ripping through the valley. No warning, no message, just power. The alien ship lifted instantly, turning toward the blast zone. Within minutes, 2 Khlorr patrol ships scrambled to the scene.
What?
They found made them stop. The blast zone wasn't burning. It was clean too, as if something had sliced the mountain open like a perfect cut through metal. No Earth ships appeared, no voices came. Just that quiet message on the com screen. Blinking again. Silent strike. Complete. Target recon underway. Remain. Covered. Ryel stared at the words. Earth wasn't just watching anymore. It was fighting. But it was doing so in a way no one expected. From the shadows, the people of Arka didn't sleep much that night. The alien ship stayed in the air, hovering in silence. It's waiting for something. But Ryel felt it in his bones. Earth was sending a message, and the enemy had heard it loud and clear. The colony was quiet, not calm quiet, a deep, heavy quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind. Even the ash in the sky had stopped falling. Arka Station held its breath. The alien ship still hovered above the west fields. It hadn't moved in 2 days. It just floated, like it was listening, watching. Waiting, Commander Ryel stood on the tower roof again. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. The message from Earth's AI still blinked on the com screen below. Phase 2 complete. Phase 3. Countermeasure seeding remained dormant. He didn't know what countermeasure seeding meant, but something had changed. Kareem climbed up beside him, holding binoculars. They're building something, he said, behind the ridge, the Khlorr. Big. How big? Bigger than the colony. Ryel took the binoculars and looked. He saw the top of a dark structure rising behind the hills. Jagged metal, glowing panels, towers that reached into the ash-clouded sky. It wasn't a base. It was a weapon. They're preparing a strike, Ryel said. On us. On the fleet. Maybe both. Kareem nodded. We won't survive another direct attack. Back in the command room, Mara had news. We found something in the old relay array logs from 6 years ago. Earth sent signals here, but they were blocked. Scrambled by the Khlorr? Why didn't we see that before? Ryel asked. They were hidden under false energy readings. Very advanced masking tech. Too advanced for normal Khlorr. Ryel leaned closer. Then who? Mara hesitated. I don't think this is just the Khlorr anymore. Kareem added. That blue-skinned alien, the one that spoke to us? He's not Khlorr. That. Different tech. Different voice. I think he's something else. A higher caste. Commander, maybe. Or worse. That afternoon, a patrol near the ridge discovered something strange. A small orb, perfectly round. Silver, floating just inches off the ground. It gave off no sound. No signal. No light. But when Jace, one of the scouts, touched it, pulsed, and vanished. Just blinked out of existence. Moments later, all of the west side sensors came online. Cameras flickered. Lights turned on. The broken drone grid reactivated, and one word appeared on the tower console. Seated. Mara stared at it, stunned. That orb. It was from Earth. Like a beacon, Ryel asked. Like a scout, she replied. They're planting devices. Silent ones. They're mapping the enemy. From inside, suddenly, the comm array buzzed. The static cleared just for a second, and a voice came through. Not a message, not a broadcast, a whisper. You are not alone. Hold the line. Then silence again. No one spoke for a long time. That night, the stars returned. Clearer than before. The ash clouds thinned. Strange lights spread across the sky's soft blue waves, like ripples in water. Then they saw them, dozens of small, fast-moving ships above the colony. They didn't glow, didn't hum, but their shapes were unlike anything Arka had seen before. No one knew how long they'd been there, maybe. They'd always been there watching. Then one of them moved lower. It stopped above the old defense tower and released a pulse of light. The ground trembled. The sky flashed, and the alien ship above the west field vanished. Gone. No explosion, no sound. Just gone, people screamed at first. Ran, hid, then slowly came out again. Ryel stared at the empty sky where the ship had been. His voice was low. That wasn't a weapon. Kareem looked confused. Then what was it? It was a test. He turned to Mara. Earth is watching how we respond, how we survive. They're testing us as much as them. The next morning, a new message blinked on the console. Phase 4, unlocked. Shadow Core activation in 72 hours. Coordinates. Sector 9. Mara pulled up the colony map. Sector 9 was abandoned, ruined years ago in the second Khlorr wave. No one went there. It was radioactive, unstable. But now, Earth wanted them there. Talia stood by the door, holding a small drawing. She had drawn one of the silent ships long, sleek, wrapped in blue light. They're coming, aren't they? She asked Ryel. He knelt beside her. They already have, just not the way we thought. She looked up. Are we going to Sector 9? Ryel nodded slowly. We're going to see what they left behind. That night, the colony prepared. Old armor was cleaned. Rusted weapons sharpened. Energy cells drained from non-essential systems. Every fighter was briefed. Every eye was on the dark hills beyond the wall, and in the sky, Earth's fleet still waited, still watching. But now, they were no longer silent. They were sending pieces of themselves down, and something deep beneath Arka Station was about to wake. The road to Sector 9 hadn't been walked in years. Ryel led the team on foot, their boots crunching across ash-covered stone. Every step closer brought a new kind of silence, one that didn't feel empty. But waiting old buildings leaned like skeletons against the black sky. The air buzzed with invisible energy. Static crackled through their radios, even when no one spoke. Kareem walked beside Ryel, checking his scanner. We're close. 30 meters. Mara, following behind, stared at the strange pulses rising. From her own tablet, blue waves, shaped like language, but not one she recognized. They reached what used to be an old water facility. Cracked towers stood guard around a crater that hadn't been there before. At the center of the crater was a hatch, round, clean, new. Ryel stepped forward slowly. The hatch wasn't just metal, it shimmered, not with heat, but purpose. It was Earth-made, but too advanced. No buttons, no seams. Is this the shadow core? Mara asked. Before anyone could answer, the hatch clicked and opened. No noise, just motion. Smooth shift of metal sliding apart, revealing stairs that led down. Into blue light, Kareem raised his rifle. If this is a trap, Ryel shook his head. Then it's a very quiet one. They entered. The stairs led them deep underground. Each step felt weightless, like gravity wasn't quite the same here. They emerged into a chamber, unlike anything left on Earth. The walls were covered in mirrored panels. At the center was a single console hovering in the air, spinning slowly. It pulsed when they approached. A voice filled the room, calm, not human. Welcome, Arka Command. Shadow Core active. Defense program beta unlocked. Defense program? Ryel said aloud. You are not alone, the voice continued. Earth has not forgotten. This node was seeded 10 years ago in preparation for the Ghostfire Protocol. You have passed observation stage. You are now eligible for limited integration, Mara whispered. They were watching this long ago. Even before the fall. Kareem looked around. So what is this place really? The voice answered. A command. Vault. A remote link to Earth's silent fleet, one of 7. Suddenly, holograms filled the air maps, diagrams, fleet models, Khlorr movement predictions. The technology felt like it was alive. Ryel stepped toward the center console. If we can control part of the fleet from here... No, the voice interrupted. This is not for control. It's for guidance. What does that mean? Mara asked. The console flared. The Khlorr are building a planetary-scale disruptor. Your time is limited. If you fail to destroy their core relay before activation, this sector will be lost. Earth will not intervene directly. You must choose. Act or vanish. The chamber began to dim. A countdown appeared on the wall. 71 hours, 58 minutes, and 0 seconds. And ticking down. Suddenly, every screen in the colony back at Arka Station lit up. The countdown mirrored across them all. Panic spread. People gathered in the square, whispering, staring at the blue numbers glowing in the ash-filled sky. When Ryel and the others returned, he spoke to the people immediately. They call it Shadow Core. It's a link. A silent watcher. It's been here for years. What does it do? Someone shouted. It warns us, Ryel replied. Gives us the truth. The Khlorr aren't just occupying us. They're preparing to destroy our world, and Earth will not stop them unless we act first. The people stared at him in silence. Then Talia stepped forward. I'll help, she said. Her voice was small, but strong. Then another voice joined, and another. Soon, people began preparing. Again, they were no longer just survivors. They were defenders. That night, Ryel, Mara, and Kareem stood in the old control tower, watching the countdown, 70:3 to :09 Earth. Wasn't coming with banners or speeches, but it was watching, guiding, testing, and Arka Station would answer. The silence was almost over. The countdown kept ticking. 62 hours, 4 minutes, and 17 seconds. Ryel stared at the numbers glowing on every screen in the colony. They didn't blink. They didn't change speed. A cold reminder that time was running out. The Khlorr's weapon, the planetary disruptor, was being built fast behind the ridge, hidden by their new allies. If it reached full power, the colony wouldn't just fall. The planet would. Mara tapped on the old command console in the tower, pulling up new data from the Shadow Core. There's movement, she said. Khlorr units. Heavy ones. They're gathering around something big. A relay tower. Kareem leaned over her shoulder. A relay. Communication. More like control, Mara said. Whatever they're building, this tower links it to the rest of their fleet. If we take it down, they lose the connection. Then that's our target, Ryel said. We hit the tower. We buy Earth's fleet a window. Kareem's voice dropped. Or we draw the full enemy force straight at us? Ryel looked out the window at the ash-covered land. Either way, we don't wait. That night, under cover of darkness and dust storms, Ryel led a team of 20 fighters out of the gates. They were quiet, focused. Some carried old plasma rifles. Others had scavenged Khlorr weapons, unfamiliar and dangerous. No one spoke. The mission was simple. Reach the relay tower, plant charges, escape before the Khlorr responded. As they neared the ridge, Mara's scanner started to whine. Jamming fields active, she whispered. We'll lose contact with the colony any second. Keep going, Ryel said. They moved up the slope, crouching behind broken rock and old satellite dishes half buried in dust. Then they saw it. The tower. It rose like a needle from the ground, humming with red. Light machines buzzed around its base. Khlorr soldiers moved in squads, dozens of them, wearing armor that shifted color with the shadows. Kareem swallowed. It's more than we expected. We go in fast, Ryel said. Mara split off left. Get the detonators on the south. Support? Kareem with Manorth's side. Mara nodded and disappeared into the dust. Kareem followed Ryel down a narrow path, circling the tower. Suddenly, a sharp electronic ping. Spotlight cut through the dark. Down, Ryel shouted. The team hit the ground as plasma bolts scorched the air above them. The ambush had begun. Khlorr troops poured out from hidden tunnels. They weren't just guarding the tower. They were waiting for someone to come. Kareem fired a stolen rifle, hitting one of the alien soldiers in the chest. The creature fell, its armor sparking. Mara's voice came through the cum. Charges place south side active. North team under fire, Ryel shouted. We're pinned. Back at the colony, the Shadow Corps lit up without warning. Talia stood nearby, watching it pulse. In time with the battle far away, suddenly a new line of code flashed on the console. Protocol 9 triggered. Countershield active. Then, from deep in orbit, a thin blue beam lanced down from the sky. It didn't strike the ground. It spread. Above it, a dome of flickering light formed over the battlefield, cutting off the Khlorr reinforcements, trying to rush in from outside. Kareem looked up, stunned. Is that Earth? Ryel said, breathing hard. They're watching us fight, and now they're helping. Inside the dome, the fight changed fast. Without backup, the Khlorr began to fall back. Regrouped with Ryel, her face scratched but eyes fierce. All charges placed, countdown synced. They sprinted back through the craters and smoke, dodging shots, carrying wounded. The relay tower loomed behind them, flickering. Then boom, the tower exploded in a silent wave of blue fire. No sound at first, just light. It didn't burn, erased. Khlorr machines froze, their armor shut down. Their weapons dropped from their hands. The relay was gone. The dome above them faded. And the sky lit up. Above the colony, hundreds of streaks of light broke through the ash clouds. Earth's fleet, but not all of it. It's just a sliver, just enough to show the Khlorr end to people. Of Arka that the silence was over. Ryel stood at the edge of the crater, covered in ash and dust, staring at the glowing wreckage. Kareem joined him. You think they're really coming now? They already have, Ryel said. They just needed proof we could hold the line. Back in the colony, the countdown on every screen stopped. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, then it changed. Phase 5 complete. Defense units inbound. And finally, standby. Arka Station, the fleet has heard you. The people cheered, cried, fell to their knees, not because they were saved, but because they had survived long enough to be seen. The defenders of Arka weren't waiting anymore. They were rising. The air above Arka Station shimmered. Blue streaks, fast, bright, silent, cut through the sky. They weren't meteors. They were ships, small, sleek, and moving with impossible speed. They didn't land. They dropped things. Pods, dozens of. Them each one hit the ground with a sharp thud but no explosion. Within seconds they opened. Earth's defense unit stepped out. Not human, not drones. Something in between. Tall, humanoid machines, black and silver, glowing with faint blue, cores armed, silent, and programmed to protect. Their heads turned with eerie precision. Their weapons folded out from their arms like unfolding wings. The people of Arka Station didn't cheer, they watched. Some were afraid, others cried. Few whispered thanks. But everyone understood one thing. Earth was here now. Ran diagnostics on one of the units. No radio signal, no broadcast, but they're connected. To something. Maybe the fleet. Kareem stood beside one of the machines. It didn't move. Just stood there, as if waiting for orders it didn't need. They're not here to talk, he said. They're here to fight. Ryel entered the command tower. The Shadow Core pulsed with new data. Lines of glowing code scrolled across the screen. Unit type, Vault Guard Directive. Planetary shield deployment Khlorr strike zone, established 36 hours. Mara translated it slowly. They're planning a strike. Earth's fleet, full force. But they're waiting. Why? Ryel stared at the screen. Because the Khlorr haven't used their final weapon yet. Earth wants to see it. Kareem frowned. Think they're waiting for the Khlorr to fire first? Not fire. Reveal, Ryel said. That relay tower we destroyed? That was just one link. There's a core still hidden, one deep enough that not even the fleet can track it. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Motion detectors. South sector. Everyone rushed outside. One of the Vault Guard units raised its head, and all of them moved together, without a sound toward the ridge. Kareem aimed his scope. A shape moved through the ash. No many, hundreds. Marching, Khlorr soldiers. But different. These weren't foot soldiers or scouts. These were elite. Their armor gleamed black like oil. Their weapons hummed with unstable power. And at the center of them, the blue-skinned alien. Tall, regal, eyes like glowing knives. He raised a staff above his head and lightning crackled. Across the sky, the machine stepped forward. People braced. Ryel stood at the front, unarmed, watching the enemy. The blue-skinned alien spoke, but not in Khlorr. In English. Children of dust, he said. You still believe Earth will come for you. You still believe your lives matter. His voice echoed without sound equipment. It vibrated in their bones. I am Varric, speaker of the deep flame, and I offer you truth. You are already dead. Your hope is a delay. Your allies are watchers. Nothing more, Mara whispered. He knows everything. Varric stepped closer. Give us the vault, the core, the seed buried in your soil. Surrender it, and I will. Spare your bones. No one moved. Then, slowly, Ryel stepped forward. You want what's underground? Come and get it. He raised his hand, and the Vault Guards opened fire. Blue energy lit the sky. The Khlorr army surged forward. The battle began. It wasn't loud. It was precise. Vault Guards moved like dancers, fast, fluid, deadly. Khlorr elites charged in squads, covering one another, their weapons cutting through steel. Kareem fought. Beside one of the machines, when he fired, it fired. When he moved, it moved. Mara managed battlefield signals, rerouting backup to weak points, and Ryel ran toward the front. Toward Varric. The blue-skinned leader met him with a calm stare. You are no commander, Varric said. You are a shadow, name without power. Ryel swung a stolen blade Khlorr-forged and sparks flew. Varric dodged easily. He wasn't just fast. He seemed to know what Ryel would do before he did it. But Ryel kept going. He wasn't trying to win. He was buying time. Haver's voice came through the coms. They've exposed it. The core. It's buried under the battlefield. The ground shook. Not from weapons. From beneath. A giant hexagonal structure rose from below the ash dark. Ancient, pulsing with blue and red. Light. It wasn't Khlorr. It wasn't Earth-made. It was something else. Seed. The real reason for the fight. and now it was exposed. Ryel heard a loud humming from the sky. He looked up. The clouds parted, and Earth's fleet descended. Not just lights, ships, massive, silent, covered in holes that shimmered with unknown alloys. Each ship opened its underbelly, and from each one dropped more Vault Guard units, hundreds more. The final stage had begun, and Arka Station was no longer alone. It was the center of the war. The war had just come home. The sky broke open. Earth's fleet, silent for years now, roared above Arka Station like gods returning to a forgotten world. Massive ships hovered low, casting deep shadows over the battlefield. Their hulls pulsed with blue veins of energy. From each, new Vault Guard units dropped, landing with thunderous force. On the ground, Ryel stood in the middle of war. In smoke, dust, heat, the core of ancient alien structure the Khlorr had hidden now, pulsed behind him, its walls spinning. Glowing, it had awakened. And so had Earth. Varric, the Khlorr commander, screamed across the battlefield, his voice sharp as broken glass. "You don't understand what you've brought here. That core is not yours. It is not Earth's." He raised his staff. A deep red light exploded from it, cracking the air. Ryel ducked as debris flew past him. One Vault Guard unit was torn in half. Mara shouted through the coms, "The core's energy is rising. If it hits critical mass, it's over. Everything." Kareem fired toward a group of Khlorr elites trying to reach the core. "We need to seal it," No, Ryel said. "We activate it." "What?" Mara yelled. "It's not a weapon," Ryel said. "It's a signal." Earth didn't build. The shadow core to watch. It was waiting for this to be found. That's why they came now. Behind him, the massive object pulsed against, low, steady, as if listening. Mara's voice came back, quieter now. "If we're wrong, then we die anyway," Ryel said. Walt, Card, the core Vault Guards fought on either side, locking the Khlorr in brutal combat. Blue beams against red, machine against monster. Varric saw Ryel moving and rushed to intercept. His armor split open, revealing wings made of energy, dark and cold. He flew. He hit the ground in front of Ryel, cracking stone. "You dare activate something you don't understand?" Varric snarled. "That seed predates your Earth, your species. It is not for you." "Which is now," Ryel said. He threw a device, the last shard of the shadow core, into the air, flew straight into the heart of the structure. Silence. For 1 second, nothing. Then the core exploded with light, not outward, inward. The metal folded, the ring spun. Symbols burned across the surface. Then a sound like a pulse filled the air deep, low, like a voice bigger than the sky. The Khlorr froze. So did everyone. Above, Earth's ships tilted, responding, and the core began to speak. Not with words, with feeling. Images flashed in every mind at once: Ryel, Mara, Kareem, even Varric. A star collapsing. A message sent through time, a warning buried in metal, and then one clear thought: this world has chosen. Blue light burst outward from the core, not destructive. It flowed across the battlefield like a wave. Vault Guards lit up, stronger, faster. Khlorr machines shut down. Varric screamed and lifted his staff, but the light burned through it like mist. His wings vanished. He fell to his knees, staring. "At Ryel, what have you done?" "I answered," Ryel said. Behind him, the core lifted from the earth, hovering now, connected to the fleet above, and the fleet responded.
Ow.
One by one, Earth's ships turned their weapons toward the sky. Toward deep space. Toward the real enemy behind the Khlorr. And fired. The sky turned white. Khlorr ships in orbit shattered like glass. The battlefield shook, and the light faded. The Khlorr were gone. Not just defeated, erased. It's their presence. Their connection, their hold over this world cut off. Varric, broken and shaking, looked up at Ryel. "You were never meant to find it." "No," Ryel said. "We were meant to defend it." And then the Vault Guard stepped forward. Raised one hand. A A soft hum built in the air. And Vorik vanished. Gone. No blast. No body. Just silence. Ryel turned toward his people. Mara walked forward slowly, her face pale, eyes wide. "It's over," she said. Karim lowered his weapon. "We're still standing." Above them, the ships didn't leave. They formed. A circle in the sky, a massive halo of steel and blue energy. The shadow core inside the tower pulsed once more. Defense achieved. Phase complete. Welcome back, Earth. A cheer erupted from the people of Arka. Children ran through the dust. Old techs wept. Fighters hugged and dropped their weapons. They had waited for rescue. They had been forgotten. They defended Earth anyway, and now Earth had come home. Later, Ryel stood atop the ridge, looking at the wreckage below. Mara joined him. "We're not just survivors anymore," no, Ryel said. "We're the first defenders." "What happens now?" He looked up at the ship still glowing in the sky. "We rebuild," he said. "But not as a colony. It's part of something bigger." She smiled. And somewhere deep beneath the earth, the core pulsed again, quiet, calm, but awake, waiting. Just in case it was ever needed again. Silence had ended. The defenders had answered.